What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Week 12 NFL Main Slate First Look video here on Sharp Sports Network. I'm your host, Joe Bewer, and I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite plays for this upcoming main slate here at this point in the week. Before I do that, I want to do a quick recap of last night's showdown slate between the Chargers and the Chiefs. Got absolutely plagued with the injuries again. Tyreek Hill out. It was a favorite captain play by a lot. Kind of ruined the entire night. Damian Williams goes down, just ruined the entire night. Past three showdown slates, we've had an injury, if not two, on the lineup here. So if you're a member, Thursday is going to be absolutely crushed. Already looking at it right now, and this main slate is going to be absolutely crushed. So let's jump right into it. So last week we were big on the Cowboys going into the main slate. Didn't end up playing them, which kind of sucked, and they ended up going off. So this time around, I'm very confident at this point in the week that I'm going to be on the same people moving into Sunday before lock. I'm interested in two quarterbacks for the least, at the very least. The game I'm very much so heavily targeting is this Atlanta versus Tampa Bay game. I really think Matt Ryan is in an incredible spot going up against Tampa Bay. We've seen what Matt Ryan is capable of doing. He's missed the 300-point bonus only 2 times this entire year. He's eclipsed 30 fantasy points 1 time, 20 fantasy points 3 times, going up against a 31st ranked pass defense. I think this is a great spot, especially if Devonta Freeman misses. We saw last week Brian Hill barely get any work. Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones got a bulk of the work, so I'm very interested in Matt Ryan here in cash games. I think he makes a ton of sense over here on DraftKings, 6.7K. I think his price increase is warranted based on the matchup, so I definitely think that game is one that I really do want to target. This New Orleans and Carolina game is another one that I can see targeting, especially from the side of Carolina. I think that you can play Christian McCaffrey. You can play some of those pass catchers. On New Orleans, I don't have as much interest in Michael Thomas and Jared Cook, Kamara, Drew Brees as I did last week. Kamara would probably be my favorite play, but from a quarterback standpoint, I'm not really on Drew Brees. I'm not on Josh Allen with the price hike. Jameis Winston, for fantasy reasons, we know that they attack Atlanta through the air, but trying to predict if it's going to be a Chris Godwin or Mike Evans week is actually near impossible. Jameis Winston is in play in cash games, but I think that you can actually pay down a little bit. We made the mistake with Kyle Allen last week. It was a very chalky play. But I do think that Sam Darnold here is a little hard to avoid over here on DraftKings at 5.8K. Back-to-back 20-point performances, 4 touchdowns last week at Washington. He's been throwing the ball over 30 times every single game this entire season that he's played in. So we can definitely expect him to at least throw the ball 30 times, get 30 attempts out there. Going up against a 27th ranked passing defense, we know that Oakland gets torched through the air. We definitely know they get torched through the air. This game is a 46-point over-under, so it's definitely in that upper part of the over-unders where we like to attack. Anywhere between 46 and 50-ish is something that is a game that's going to be very viable. So I think this is a very good spot for Sam Darnold to really air out, get that 300-point bonus. He's getting over that mononucleosis. He's coming into a good form where I think we can really attack him. I think Sam Darnold here makes a ton of sense, and he is one, if not my favorite quarterback play at this point right now. I think Sam Darnold is a great spot to start your lineup. He's not too cheap. He's not too expensive. Sam Darnold or Matt Ryan are going to be my 2 top options. A lot of people are going to plug in Christian McCaffrey right away. I don't mind that as well. He's definitely a massive cash game play. Going up against a third-ranked rushing defense, like I said, Christian McCaffrey is matchup proof. He showed that. So I think Christian McCaffrey is a fine play. But for me, I have a very big interest in Nick Chubb. Going up against Miami, 31st ranked rushing defense in the league. Nick Chubb's just been getting a ton of volume. Went up against Pittsburgh. He got kind of shut down. Didn't end up getting into the end zone. Hasn't had a touchdown in a while. I think the positive regression is coming for Nick Chubb. I really like Nick Chubb today at 8.1K. I think if you're going to pay up for somebody, it's going to be Nick Chubb. It makes a ton of sense to play Nick Chubb today. James Conner is going to be out for the most part. Benny Snell is questionable as well. They have hiked up Jalen Samuels' price so hard. It's really tough to play him at 7.2K because I know we like attacking running backs against Cincinnati. I really would like to play Jalen Samuels today with his pass-catching upside, but I can't justify paying 7.2K when Leonard Fournette is up here going up in an equally exciting matchup. It gets way more volume. I like Leonard Fournette a lot at 7.3K. I don't mind Josh Jacobs as well, but I think you can actually jump down here a little bit more. Chris Carson seems oddly underpriced at 6.7K. He gets the volume. He went up against San Francisco, an optimal defense against the run, ended up getting a touchdown in. Going up against a 4th-ranked defense today, I think Chris Carson is in a very, very good spot, a buy low spot, coming off his $7,200 price tag, dropping down $500. I definitely think he's in play. I like Le'Veon Bell a lot. Joe Mixon is an interesting one for me. I think he's getting a ton of volume because they have nobody that they can go to. And we know that Pittsburgh is middle of the pack at best against the run. So Joe Mixon is definitely somebody that I would want to go to. In the lowest I'll probably go this week is probably Kalen Ballage again at 4.4K. Makes a decent amount of sense, but I think you actually just pay up here. I think you pay up for somebody like Derrick Henry in a pretty enticing matchup here against Jacksonville. He's getting the volume. He's getting a ton of rushes. He's getting more involved in the passing game. I really like Derrick Henry, Leonard Fournette, or Chris Carson here today. So that would be where I would go. I would probably pay up at running back. I like Derrick Henry at 6.9K. It makes a ton of sense. Wide receiver-wise, Michael Thomas, top play, of course. He's going to be a top play. Julio Jones is going to be very popular on the slate. I expect to roster Julio Jones today. I expect to try and muscle him into the lineup. It makes a ton of sense with the volume that he's getting. 8 targets last week, 91 yards. He's getting the ball thrown his way. They've hiked Calvin Ridley's price up in that matchup. They've hiked his price up a ton, an extra 1,000. So Calvin Ridley becomes more of a GPP play. These Mike Evans, Chris Godwin guys, they're always in play. It's just tough to predict. Odell Beckham's in an interesting spot. Cleveland goes into Miami, is playing against a terrible defense all around. Odell Beckham's going to get the volume. I expect Odell Beckham to be a pretty popular play. But I think there's a couple other plays that you can actually pay down for that make a little bit more sense for me. I really like DJ Chark today. I think DJ Chark is a very, very viable option. Nick Foles as well is a viable quarterback option to throw into the mix for tournaments. I think DJ Chark is just 15 targets last week, 2 touchdowns. He just gets the volume going up against Tennessee, 22 ranked defense. I like DJ Chark at 6.4K a little bit more than Calvin Ridley. Here's an interesting part of it. If Tyler Lockett misses this game, DK Metcalf needs to get slotted in. The secondary for Philadelphia has been depleted this entire season. They've been letting in passing touchdowns all season long. DK Metcalf fits all the slots on the outside. He has that deep play, upside. I like DK Metcalf a lot. I've been riding him a lot this season. He's never done wrong by us at all, so I really like DK Metcalf. But probably one of the more interesting plays for me is Jarvis Landry. I think he's going to get a ton of volume today in the slot or going up against Miami. I think this is a great spot to kind of buy low on Odell Beckham. It kind of just, shy away from Odell Beckham and pay up for Jarvis Landry a little bit at 6.3K. But if I'm playing Sam Darnold, I need to have one of his pass catchers, and Jamison Crowder has been receiving in a ton of volume and just a ton of attention from somebody like Sam Darnold going up against that defense. I think you have to slot Jamison Crowder or Robbie Anderson in, but my nod goes to Jamison Crowder. I think he gets a boost this week. His price is adjusted for the matchup. It's only gone up $500. I think Jamison Crowder is priced appropriately today to scare a lot of people off of him. I definitely want to pair a pass catcher with the quarterback that I'm rolling with, so if I'm going to roll with Sam Darnold for the sake of this video, I will want to put Jamison Crowder in there. And then the lowest I would probably go is somebody like Robbie Anderson at 4.8K. He has a ton of upside. Josh Gordon is in play. If Tyler Lockett misses, Josh Gordon becomes a top-tier value play. And then that's probably the lowest I'm going to go. Russell Gage's price got hiked up a little bit. You can also look for somebody like Golden Tate who's going to get a ton of volume at 5.7K. So let's move over to tight end. Austin Hooper is going to lead the charge for the most part. He's been an incredibly used tight end this season. Ryan Griffin's price has been adjusted appropriately. We cannot play him at 2.9K anymore. Jacob Hollister becomes an interesting play. But I typically like paying down for tight end. I think it makes a ton of sense. I think you can pay down for somebody like Cameron Brate. Jonnu Smith is priced appropriately now. Mike Gesicki makes a little bit of sense. It's just really tough. Eifert makes probably the most sense in this low range. You're probably not going to be able to pay down too far for tight end this week. I think you're probably going to have to pay for somebody like Jacob Hollister or Ryan Griffin or potentially Dallas Goedert or Cameron Brate. If I had to choose, I'm a big fan of Jacob Hollister and Ryan Griffin in this range at 4.3K. I think that makes a ton of sense. Vance McDonald maybe, but probably Ryan Griffin or Ryan Griffin's just been getting the targets. Ryan Griffin or Jacob Hollister, he gets a ton of red zone looks. He gets targeted a ton. So I definitely do like sliding in Jacob Hollister into the lineup. Defense, let's roll down the defense really quick. Defense is not really priced too high this week. I think it makes a ton of sense to play the Browns. They're in an incredible spot you could just play the Dolphins again and be okay with it. Cleveland doesn't put up a ton of points historically, but for me, I would probably put the Bengals defense in there only because for this reason, the Bengals haven't been putting up a lot of points, but Juju Smith-Schuster is going to be out and James Conner. All the weapons for Pittsburgh are going to be out. We saw when they played Cleveland, whose defense isn't stout at all, they couldn't even put up any points at all. So for me, the Bengals defense is going to be my low-price defense for today. And then, you would just have to build your lineup from there. So over on DraftKings, I really like Sam Darnold, Matt Ryan, love Nick Chubb, Derrick Henry, Chris Carson, wide receivers, Julio Jones, Jamison Crowder, Jarvis Landry, DJ Chark, Hollister at tight end, and then the Bengals defense. Same thing goes over here on FanDuel. I think it's really easy to slot in somebody like Sam Darnold at 7.4K, but it makes more sense to play Matt Ryan at 7.9K. It's just a $500 difference between Sam Darnold and Matt Ryan. It makes way more sense to play Sam Darnold on DraftKings, but the pricing here is a little bit interesting. Derrick Henry is hiked up so high. I have no real interest in him when I would rather take Nick Chubb's volume. I think Nick Chubb's volume makes way more sense for a $300 savings. And then Jalen Samuels is actually priced somewhat appropriately over here at 6.9K. I think you can slot him in, but I would probably slot Leonard Fournette in that spot because I don't really have too much interest in any of these low-tier guys. I think you're going to have to pay a little bit for some running backs today, so I would probably roster Fournette. Wide receivers, I'm going to want to slot in Julio and just pay the price. You're going to have to pay the price for Julio today. I think it makes a ton of sense. But the one thing I did notice is that Jamison Crowder is priced so low over here at 6.5K. It is actually kind of gross how underpriced he is. I think Jamison Crowder is definitely a plug-and-play for me today. And then they have the Bengals priced pretty appropriately here, and the Redskins priced down low, going up against Detroit. I'm not a big fan of that matchup. I would actually probably rather just play the Bengals at 3.8K. It still gives you a little bit of upside. And then tight end, like I said, I'm a big fan of Jacob Hollister at 5.8K. It leaves you with 6.2K left. It's plenty, absolutely plenty, to be able to get somebody like DJ Chark in and then have 5.4K left. Or you play Calvin Ridley, who's priced stupidly over here. DK Metcalf is 6.7K left with 5.7K left over here. On FanDuel, I think it's just smarter to play Matt Ryan. It's probably going to be the route that I go. But over here on DraftKings, I think it's smarter to play Sam Darnold and take a $900 to $1,000 savings. Over here on Fantasy Draft, things are a little different. I think you probably play Sam Darnold over here on Fantasy Draft just based on pricing. You definitely play Nick Chubb again. And I think you play somebody like Derrick Henry, who's priced low. I think it makes a ton of sense for those guys to get played. And then Julio, he's got to be in the lineup. I think Julio's a top option today. But the one thing I did know, Jamison Crowder is priced so cheap over here at 11.7K. It's really, really cheap to play somebody like Jamison Crowder over here. And then Jacob Hollister is the most underpriced on Fantasy Draft over here. It is stupid how underpriced Jacob Hollister is over here on Fantasy Draft. And then the Bengals are priced appropriately over here. You're left with $11,000 left to play around. You can get Chris Carson, Josh Jacobs. You can get Godwin, Fournette. You can play Fournette, and you're left with 9.4K left, which is plenty. 9.4K is absolutely plenty to be able to get somebody like Brian Hill if he ends up playing D.D. Westbrook. Kareem Hunt has incredible upside. So with that being said, like I said, if you're not already a part of the team over here with the private content that we do, you can go ahead and sign up in the link below in the description. There's a Fantasy Draft sign-up link. Just copy and paste that, put it in there. Sign up with code Sharp Sports. It's already inputted in when you follow the link. Deposit $10 and send us a screenshot on Twitter. You'll be able to get all of our content for NFL for free, DraftKings, FanDuel, and Fantasy Draft. And we're also bundling that with NBA, so you'll be able to get NBA Fantasy Draft exclusive content. So if you want that from us over here at Sharp Sports Network, just go ahead and take care of this exclusive offer. It's really the best that you'll be able to find. So with that being said, at this point, the cores that I'm looking at right now are Matt Ryan and Sam Darnold. I think they make a ton of sense. I love Julio Jones, love Jamison Crowder at this point. Nick Chubb is my top running back right now. I really like Derrick Henry. I like DJ Chark and wide receiver. Jacob Hollister makes a ton of sense. Obviously things are subject to change. We're going to have to see where things go throughout the week with injuries and stuff like that. But at this point, this is where I'm at. So with that being said, good luck to everybody. If you are not a member, good luck. And I will see everybody on Thursday for Thursday Night Showdown. We have the Colts and the Texans. We're going to absolutely murder it. Get back on the streak without these injuries. So with that being said, good luck to everybody. I will see you on Thursday for the Thursday Night Showdown video. Peace.